I'm going to tie a variation of a really effective pattern called a Skinny Nelson, and I've changed some of the elements about it. The one that you'll notice first is that it's on a jig hook as opposed to a straight shank nymph hook, and I'm going to add a hot spot to it, and I'm going to do so at the back of the pattern. So got a size 12 hook so that it shows up better on camera, but I tie these 12s through 18s, and on it is a 3/32 tungsten bead. So I'll start by adding in my hot spot, and that's going to be a 70 fluorescent fire orange, and I'll start this all the way at the top, and I'll wrap my way down, and once it's secure I'll trim the excess, and I'll take this down to about the bend in the hook where I can tie in my tail. And for that I'm going to use a pheasant tail, so 6 to 8 fibers, and it's going to be relatively short, so I'll hold it on top and tie it down. And then I'll wrap that pheasant tail all the way up to behind the bead, and then trim it, and then at this point I can whip finish and remove the orange thread, and I'll come back in with a 70 black that'll make up the body. So I'll start behind the bead and remove the tag. The rib for this is going to be a small gold wire, and so I'll seat that in the bead, and tie it down, and then I'll work back towards that hot spot, try to get some side-by-side wraps, and then come back up and clean anything else up that you might have missed. Giving that slim profile. And then I can take my rib and work it up. These are going to be relatively close wraps. And then when I get to my thread, I'll tie it off. And then I can break the excess. And now this has some flash to it. And since it's a jig hook, it's going to be on the underside. In a traditional Skinny Nelson, it'll be on the top. And so I've got just a small piece of Flashabou. I'm going to double this over. Sometimes it's tricky to work in between the gap of the hook, but I found that if you double this over, and this is a Flashabou, or you can use a pearl tinsel. So I've doubled it over the thread, and then all I'll do is kind of catch it and work my way back, and then it'll seat those, catch both of those. The thorax is going to be a peacock curl, so I'll take maybe 3 strands, trim the ends, I'll tie this in again behind the eye and back as far as I took my flash, and then I can make my wraps up through. and then I can tie it off, trim the excess, and then I'll rotate it so that I can tie in this this tinsel or this flash, and I'll separate them slightly so you get better coverage. Take a couple of turns, one underneath, and then trim close. And then just a whip finish to hold everything together. And then I'll often come back and put a little bit of head cement on especially the tag of the thread. But that's my my take on a Skinny Nelson. Again, really cool pattern if you look at the original, with a little European flair here. So a Euro Skinny Nelson.